Jeff here. It's talking about Henry Ford and his private party island. Well, not really too much of a party island. Henry Ford bought an island up in Traverse City Bay around 1918, and he liked to get away from the work world and go up and relax at his island. There was a ferry service from the mainland over to it, so he could take his cars and that and his buddies and go over there. Around that time, he started a group called the Vagabonds, and it was four gentlemen, all wealthy individuals that just like to get away. There was Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Firestone, and Burroughs, naturalist Burroughs. And the four of them would go on trips every year, and they would travel to each other's little hideaways or areas. They traveled all around the country, once a year trip just to get away from things. So up at this island, I think it might have got his attention because it had a big dock and he could park his yacht onto it. Um, he also it had a dance floor next to it in a smaller island, which was known for. And Ford was known for his dancing, his square dancing. Here's a video of him square dancing and showing somebody how to square dance. But he liked going away with his buddies, but he was a teetotaler. He wasn't a drinker. So there's one story that he invited Babe Ruth up there. Babe Ruth was doing commercials for his cars. And Babe Ruth came up there and then came across on the ferry, and that he was um, intoxicated, and Ford did not like it, so he sent him back across to stay in this little town up by Old Mission Point. This background store is Old Mission Point store that's been there for since the 1800s, and it's had everybody through there. Even Ford and Edison added on to this store just so they could have more stuff to take to his island. But he had everybody from baseball legends to presidents to all the kind of top people in the day. Theodore Roosevelt. There was all kinds of people that he had taken to his island. Yeah, I think that at this time, Ford was a billionaire. You know, in the 1920s, he was a billionaire. I mean, think of that. I did the math on it to see what it would be worth. His fortune today would have been worth about $400 billion. So I mean, he was a very wealthy guy in the 1920s. But they would go and they weren't roughing it. I mean, they were roughing it in the sense that they were sleeping in tents. Other than that, they had chefs, they had bodyguards, I mean, they had security, they had um, waiters. When he went out with the president, he went to the without one of their trips. He went with President Hardy, and here's some of that trip where they had the beast of that time um, was the president and the Secret Service. And when the president's wife got there, that trip was in New York, but because he couldn't be far away from Washington D.C., he his wife made him go out and get thicker mattresses because she wasn't going to have the president sleep on a thin mattress. Pretty crazy from the 1920s, but uh, this this is some of his trips that he did. But Power Island is the one in Michigan. It had many names. It had over 10 names. The name it had before him was Marion Island, and he changed it to Ford Island, which then changed to something else, and then the Power Island. So it's changed hands quite a few times. You can actually camp on Power Island today. You can get permits and go out and camp on the island. Um, they still have a ferry service. I don't know how much driving around you would do on a small island, but they do have a ferry service going there. They have 15 spots that you can camp in with fire rings and picnic tables. But you're roughing it. Kind of interesting though. So he didn't really have a party island per se. It was an island that him and he could just get away from Detroit and the factories and all that and go up there and relax. And at least he did it at least once a year. Plus the other trips he went on once a year, he'd go around the country with the vagabonds. There's quite a story about the vagabonds going around the country and stuff, and going on their little adventures. These four very wealthy men. Remember the roads back then? I mean, the roads were horrible. I mean, they didn't have the interstate or anything yet, so cars were a new thing, but were taking off. Um, they were going strong enough to make Ford a billionaire at that time, Henry Ford. So some of the interesting things. There's some of the interesting videos of his other trips that they did. So
In 1914, three famous friends, Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, and John Burroughs, ventured into the wilds of southwest Florida for a camping adventure in the Everglades. Their campfire camaraderie inspired a series of camping trips throughout the next decade. Joined by another famous friend, Harvey Firestone, the four vagabonds explored a changing America, finding rest, relaxation, and inspiration in the nation's great outdoors. Ford hosted his friends for a cruise on his yacht, the 300-foot Cyalea, and a tour of Michigan's Upper Peninsula. The expedition had elements of a business trip as the celebrated trio and their wives toured Ford's logging camps, sawmills, and mines, and test drove vehicles fitted with Firestone's new balloon tires.
So if you like these type of stories, subscribe, like, share, comment, and come on back and we'll be doing a few more. Thank you for watching.